Welcome to Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends. As you can see by the title card, today's event is the Porsche vs. Lamborghini Challenge.
That's right, it's a stupendous day for racing, and we have a great 4-car lineup for today's 8th mile event. Contestants today are racing both individually and as a manufacturing team.
Correct. A contestant can win the competition, but if his partner performs poorly, the manufacturer's cup could go to the opposing team. But more on that later. Let's take a look at what you're all here for. Some beautiful cars.
Well, here they are. Don't they just all look stunning, all lined up together like that? Let's hope they still look like that at the end of today's event.
For Team Porsche, we have the 2019 Porsche 911 GT3 RS with a 4.0-liter engine pumping out an impressive 346 pounds of torque and a 0 to 60 time of 2.8 seconds. Followed by the 1996 Carrera 4S. This car has the turbo model's body shell but houses a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter engine in the rear. The all-wheel drive system makes this car a little heavy, but hopefully that translates into improved handling and grip on the track.
And now we have Team Lamborghini, starting off with the 2009 Lamborghini Murcielago LP-670-4 Super Veloce. Wow, that's a mouthful. This car gets to 60 miles an hour faster than you could say its name. This car has a massive 6.5-liter V12 engine producing a gargantuan 661 horsepower. After that is the 2012 Lamborghini Gallardo LP-570-4 Superleggera. Wow, do you think the people at Lamborghini have a contest to see who could come up with the longest name? Anyway, this car has a 5.2-liter V10 and made extensively of carbon fiber, making it the lightest car on the track today.
Now, let's go over the scoring. First place is 5 points, second place is 3 points, third place 2 points, fourth place 1 point, and a DNF will get you 0 points.
At the end of today's event, the driver with the most points wins, and the same goes for the highest scoring manufacturing team. And as far as rules for the race, it's pretty standard stuff really. This is a 5-race event. We will change lane positions at the start of every new race. The last race is a 4x4 side-by-side. Restarts only happen in the case of a 4-way DNF, and of course, this is not a timed event.
Yeah, that's because the Scrapyard can't even afford a timer. Heck, we can't even afford 2 announcers. It's just me doing both voices.
Hey, no one is supposed to know that.
Studio, can someone in the studio please cut off his microphone?
Well, it's true.
Then how are we talking at the same time?
It's called editing software.
Hello, studio, can you hear me? Hello?
Well, while he tries to get that mess sorted out with the studio, let's go down to the track cam and get this event started.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And here we are at the starting line for race 1, and it looks like the racers are in position.
That's right. We have the GT3 in lane 1, the Murcielago in lane 2, the Carrera 4S in lane 3, and finishing out the pack, it's the Gallardo in lane 4.
The officials have cleared the track. Let's get this race started.
3, 2, 1, go!
And they are off.
Whoa! There's been a huge wreck!
It looked like the GT3 was the only one to make it across the line without a scratch.
Oh man, we gotta see that on the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the GT3 just edging out a lead off the line.
Yeah, and its partner is going immediately for the block.
It definitely seems like Team Porsche came with a game plan.
Yeah, but look at that SV. It refuses to be blocked in. It's trying to power its way through.
But the SV overpowers it, sending both of them into the wall.
Wow, that Carrera gets airborne, and the Gallardo just barely avoids it.
But the Gallardo doesn't avoid that wall.
Somehow the SV manages to spin across the line. What was that, 2 360s and a 180? Wow!
Meanwhile, the GT3 just sailed through for the first win and a win for Team Porsche.
And look at that! It looks like even our camera drone crashed into some sort of power line or something. Gosh, talk about action, and this is only race 1!
Well, let's go over to that scorecard and see how things stand.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And now, let's go to the scorecard for the first time today.
Well, the GT3 sailed its way into first place for 5 big points.
And then miraculously, the SV spun its way into second for 3 points. The Carrera and the Gallardo scored 0 points each for their DNFs, although if it were up to me, they'd definitely both get bonus points for the free stunt show.
Looking over at the manufacturer standings, we have Porsche with a small lead over Lamborghini at 5-3.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And we're back at the starting gate, all set for race 2.
Race 2 has the Lamborghinis up front with the Murcielago in lane 1 and the Gallardo in lane 2. That leaves the Porsches in the rear conveniently with the GT3 in lane 3 and the 4S in lane 4.
3, 2, 1, go! The Lamborghinis go wide.
We've got another wreck!
That looked like a Lamborghini Porsche 1-2 finish to me.
Wow! Oh man, let's get to that replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It looks like Team Lambo came up with a plan after that last race.
That's correct. They appear to split up and go wide to avoid getting blocked like in race 1. Then after the downhill, they line up looking for the 1-2 finish.
Yeah, but the GT3 loses it and just clips the tail end of that Gallardo.
And look at that precision driving of the Carrera 4S. It avoids getting hit, and you can see that four-wheel drive system working overtime to keep that Porsche on the track.
But work it does because it got him to second place while everyone else got a DNF.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And here we are back at the scoreboard.
The SV was able to turn his second place into first for 5 big points. And thanks to the magic of four-wheel drive, the Carrera 4S scored 3 points.
And due to that accident, the GT3 went from first to a DNF and took the Gallardo along with it.
Over at the manufacturer's board, Lamborghini has been able to tie it up with Porsche at 8 points apiece.
But keep in mind, the SV has been doing all the work for Team Lamborghini. The Gallardo has yet to make it across the line. That could hurt them in the team standings in the long run.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're back at the gate for race 3, and those racers can't wait for that gate to go up.
Here we have the Gallardo in lane 1, the Carrera 4S in lane 2, the Murcielago in lane 3, and the GT3 closes out the pack in lane 4.
3, 2, 1, go! The Gallardo rips out of the gate.
Whoa! Was that a blowout? What? Did he just win in reverse?
Let's get to that replay.
That was totally bonkers. I can't wait to see it.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
I want to go back to the gate, because right there, you can see how the Gallardo just powers out of the gate.
Right, the Gallardo peels out almost the entire length of the downhill.
Yeah, until that tire blowout.
But the Gallardo does avoid the wall.
Right, but in doing so, the Gallardo sends the SV into the wall.
And the SV hits that wall hard.
And the SV takes out the GT3 along with it.
But look at that four-wheel drive system come to the aid of the Carrera 4S again. Amazing how it's able to drive around all that destruction.
The 4S does get a little loose and overcorrect, and at the end just kisses that metal barrier, but somehow is able to just park it over the finish line. Man, that's incredible.
As impressed as I am by that four-wheel drive system, what's really incredible is how that Gallardo blows out a tire and dead center of the track is able to hit the handbrake, spin the car, and win in reverse. On only 3 good tires. I had said the Gallardo needed a win, and it just did it in the most spectacular way in scrapyard history. What a way to get on the scoreboard.
And speaking of the scoreboard, let's check those standings.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Let's take a look at those scores.
Well, after that big win in race 2, the SV gets a DNF for crashing while avoiding fellow Lamborghini teammates. And the Gallardo literally backs his way onto the scoreboard with 5 huge points. And the GT3, which had a strong showing in race 1, has been unable to put any more points on the board. Meanwhile, the four-wheel assisted skill of the Carrera 4S has brought in second place and 3 well-earned points, thanks to that great valet parking routine. Now, let's see how that affected the manufacturing board.
Thanks to the Gallardo's big win, Team Lamborghini is edging out past Team Porsche at 13 points to 11. And I'd just like to point out here that after 3 races, neither team has been able to successfully get both team cars across the line.
Hey there, race fans.
We just got word from the broadcast studio, and it seems like we're all out of time. So please join us next time as we close out the championship and crown the individual and team winners.
Can Lamborghini hold on to their team lead, or will Porsche make a comeback? Will all 4 cars ever cross the line? Who will win the tournament? Find out all this and more. Please join us next time, because if you thought this was exciting, then you haven't seen anything yet. Thank you so much for joining us here at Scrapyard Diecast Racing. Thanks for watching. This is me signing off.
And me too.
Hey fans, have you always wished that you could work at the Scrapyard?
Well, have we got a surprise for you? Now you can get official Scrapyard gear and feel like you're one of the team on the wrecking crew here at the Scrapyard.
And it's not just clothes, we have clocks,
So you never miss a race.
notebooks,
So you can keep score at home.
and pillows.
So you can cry in it when your favorite racer loses.
There's a heap of products available to make you feel like you're part of the Scrapyard.
I see what you did there. Junkyard, heap, I got it.
So head over to the Scrapyard official supplier by searching Ripuero on redbubble.com.
Or even better, just click on the link right down there in the description.
And while you're there, check out all of Ripuero's great designs.
That guy is awesome. He has enough designs to fill his own junkyard. Not that his stuff is junk. Oh, you know what I mean. He has a heap.
And each product you buy not only helps you feel like you're part of the Scrapyard team, but it helps keep the Scrapyard open and bringing you awesome diecast racing like the one you're watching now.
Thank you so much, and now back to the race.
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends, for part 2 of the Porsche vs. Lamborghini challenge. This one is going to be big.
If you missed any of part 1, you'll definitely want to go back and watch it because that was some of the most intense action the Scrapyard has ever seen.
But for everyone else, here's a quick recap of the scores from the end of part 1. The SP's in the lead at 8 points, and Team Lamborghini's up by 2 at 13.
So, do you have any predictions you'd like to make before we get back to the track?
Well, I think in part 1 I made it pretty clear that I quickly became a fan of the Carrera 4S and that 4-wheel drive system. It's the heaviest and arguably slowest car here, yet continually manages to outdrive everyone. Just impressive. How about you?
You mean us?
Don't start that again.
Actually, I'm on the other side of the scale. I'm a fan of the lightest car here, the Gallardo. It might have only crossed the line once in the very last race, but it was spectacular. Plus, it's put on quite a show on all the other races. The GT3 and the SV are strong competitors, but the Gallardo, it's a rock star.
Well, I'm sure the fans didn't tune in to hear us chit-chat. They're here for that racing action that only the Scrapyard can bring. So let's get down to the track.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are at the starting gate. The officials, wasting no time to get part 2 underway, have already cleared the track.
Okay, well, hopefully I can rattle off the lineup before the gate goes up. Race 4 has the Porsches up front with the Carrera 4S in lane 1 and the GT3 in lane 2. Lamborghinis take the back row with the Gallardo in lane 3 and the Murcielago in lane 4.
3, 2, 1, go!
Our Porsche's blocking Porsche!
The SV going for the pass.
But he doesn't make it!
The Gallardo stalls out.
So much just happened there!
Then you know what that means. Let's go to the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Upon analyzing the replay, it seems like the Lamborghinis were...
Playing dirty?
No, now let's not start pointing fingers. I was going to say, using their horsepower and position to their advantage.
Well, as soon as the gate goes up, the Lamborghinis use the extra horsepower to push the Porsches into the left wall. Look, right there. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Yes, of course I see it.
That should be against the rules.
Well, you were the one that read the rules at the beginning of the tournament.
Oh yeah, never mind then. From the camera drone, you could see how the Gallardo pushes the Carrera 4S into the GT3, trying to get the Carrera 4S to spin. And before you say it, yeah, I know, but thanks to the trusty 4-wheel drive system, blah 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 blah.
But the Carrera 4S does manage to straighten out, and the GT3 uses that to an advantage to bump draft slingshot around so fast that the camera drone loses sight of it.
In a turnabout is fair play maneuver, the GT3 sends the Gallardo into the wall. That might be the quickest payback in Scrapyard history.
But look at the SV, the sheer amount of power in that car. Once it sees the GT3 going for the win, the SV downshifts and gives that V12 all it has. Had this been a longer track, it might have outran the Carrera 4S.
This isn't a long track. It's the Scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Yeah, we know. Look at that Gallardo. It got what it deserved. Trying to push the Porsches against the wall, and it ended up stalled out and the only racer not to cross the finish line.
That's right. This is the first race where both members of either team cross the line. So let's see how that milestone changes the scorecard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, what can we say here? Cheaters never win, might doesn't always make right. Lamborghinis came with a plan to push their way to a 1-2 finish, and it totally backfired. The SV was grasping at straws for his third place win and 2 points, while the Gallardo gambled big and lost even bigger, ending up with 0 points and his third DNF for the tournament. Meanwhile, the Porsches became the first team to not only cross the line, but to also get a 1-2 finish. So, shifting into warp drive got the GT3 5 points and first place, plus a very respectable second place and 3 points to the Carrera 4S, whose expert driving skills not only saved the team, but delivered a big win.
That big win just tied the GT3 with the SV for first place in the individual standings. And now let's see how that big win affected the team score. That 1-2 finish delivered a massive 8 points to Team Porsche, making this the highest scoring round of the tournament. And Lamborghini, who started off part 2 in the lead, is now trailing 15 points to 19. They need to deliver something magical in the last race if they want to take it all.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
That last race was intense.
Yes, and now it all comes down to this final race.
So much is riding on this one.
The individual and team wins are still both very much in play.
Yeah, literally any car could still win this, even the Gallardo. If the Gallardo wins and the other 3 DNF, then it's a 3-way tie for first with the SV and the GT3. Or if the Carrera takes it, there could be a 2-way tie with the GT3 or SV.
Yes, I know. That's why I said everything was still in play.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this gate to go up.
The officials have given the all clear.
3, 2, 1, go!
And they're off.
The SV cuts for a block. Oh, a huge wreck! Let's check that replay.
I don't believe it. A 4-way DNF.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here you can see all 4 racers leave the line evenly.
Yeah, and they all have the same idea to block each other.
And since the GT3 is already against the wall, he has nowhere to go.
You can see the SV miscalculated coming off that downhill and smashed into that first metal barrier.
Sending the SV ricocheting to the other side of the track.
And look at the Porsches trying to seize the opportunity and flank the SV by driving around on each side.
The SV sees it has no way of winning, so he just feverishly shifts from drive to reverse to keep those Porsches at bay. That was the best and most successful bit of blocking we've seen all tournament. And since it's a 4-way DNF, there's no need to check the scorecard.
Yeah, that's great. Come on, let's get back to the gate.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We are back at the starting gate for the final race.
Maybe. The chances of another 4-way DNF are just astronomical. This has to be the race that decides it all.
Okay, no more talking. The officials have cleared the track.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Gallardo pulls out strong.
The Porsche's wrecked.
It's the Gallardo. Did he just tie first place?
No, the GT3 crosses the line.
Let's see it again.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here you can see the Carrera immediately blocking the SV to keep all that horsepower at bay.
Then the Gallardo blocks the Carrera and the GT3 tries to block them all. It's a triple block.
But the GT3 cuts in too hard, comes off wrong on the downhill and bounces off that metal barrier.
And that creates a wreck and a pocket big enough for the Gallardo to squeeze through.
That was all the Gallardo needed to hit the accelerator all the way to the finish line.
Miraculously, the GT3 manages to restart the engine and make it across the line while the Carrera 4S and the SV remain stalled out.
Not only did the GT3 make it across the line, but it managed to upset the Lamborghini's chance at winning it all. Amazing! What a way to end the tournament!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are for the final scorecard of the tournament.
With a win by the largest margin in the tournament, the Gallardo gets 5 big points. Not enough to win it all, but enough to tie Lamborghini teammate in the SV for second place. Unfortunately, the Carrera 4S got a DNF and 0 points. The GT3 crawled across the line for second place, but that's all the points he needed to win it all and be the tournament champion.
The team standings have Porsche winning it as well at 22 points to 20. Had the SV managed to cross the line in that final race, that would have tied it up, forcing one last sudden death race. But sadly for us race fans, that didn't happen.
And here you have the tournament winner, the 2019 Porsche GT3. This car was a strong competitor and deserved today's win.
And here is today's winner with Porsche teammate the Carrera 4S. They were the only team to get both cars across the line in any race, and their joint efforts earned them the Manufacturer's Cup. The way this team drove today, they definitely deserve to win it all. And now, as an added bonus, we'll select the MVP Racer, a racer selected by us for their overall performance in today's competition.
I was rooting for the Gallardo, but if you look back at this tournament, it can be no other racer but the 2009 Lamborghini Murcielago LP670-4 Super Veloce, or as we've been referring to it, the SV.
There was a 900-degree spin to take second in race 1. Then the SV easily won race 2. And in race 4, all 661 horsepower were on display with an amazing show of passing power.
And let's not forget, race 5 only got restarted because the SV blocked both Porsches all alone, taking one for the team and causing a 4-way DNF.
Well, fans, that's it from the Scrapyard. If you missed part 1, please go and give it a watch. And if you enjoyed what you saw here, please give us a like. Or even better, subscribe to the Scrapyard and encourage us to hold more events like the one you saw today.
Also, if you like what you saw and have any tips or suggestions for us, leave us a comment. Heck, even if you hated what you saw, go ahead and tell us that too. We work in a Scrapyard. We can take it.
But seriously, thank you so much for watching. It means so much to us. From all of me here at the Scrapyard, good night.
You did it!
Did what?
You said me instead of us.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Let's go to the replay.
The tournament is over. There are no more replays.
Oh, yeah? Well, I heard it, and I bet they heard it too.
The Scrapyard Diecast Racing.